episode, we are going to talk about the unique features of the traditional clothing in the Shang Dynasty and the Zhou Dynasty, and why people at that time wore them like that. The Shang Dynasty was when slavery first started, and caste system developed at that time. As you can see, most people were peasants and slaves. Nobles and the emperors stood at the top and controlled the government. Before this period, people wore almost the same things, but this code has totally changed in the Shang Dynasty. As a result, different clothing symbolized different social status. First, let's start with the slaves. In the Shang Dynasty, slaves were viewed as animals. Therefore, they weren't allowed to wear clothes.
I'm naked!
Even if they had a kind master, they were still only allowed to wear a belt. However, the majority of the slaves were not used to produce agricultural products, which was pretty much different from the Western slavery. Slaves at that time were used to sacrifice. Second, the peasants. Evidence has shown that people in the Shang Dynasty has already gained the skills of weaving clothes with linen. So ordinary peasants made clothes by themselves. Consequently, the quality might not be so good, and the choices of colors were very limited since they wouldn't dye them. Then, the nobles wore clothes that were a lot better than those of the peasants. They wore clothes which were made out of silk or animal furs. Meanwhile, the Shang Dynasty was when they discovered silk and Shandong. However, the process of making it was still very complicated, and that's why only nobles and emperors could afford to wear them. The clothes had a variety of different colors, including green, red, yellow, and etc. And they were decorated with embroidery. The emperor wore basically the same things as the noble, except for that he was even more luxurious and roaming. So, why do people at that time wear so distinctly? It's because that the nobles and emperors wanted to demonstrate their power and stabilize the society. By broadening the gaps between different social classes, it conveyed the message that the slaves were like the possession of the Lord and they have no dignity.
In the Zhou Dynasty, people had a feeling of superiority since they wore clothes that were more advanced than other ancient civilizations. At that time, Egyptians wore kilts and aprons around their waist, and the Greeks and Romans wrapped a huge sheet of fabric around their body. Overall, only the Chinese spent lots of time on making clothes, so they called people who didn't wear fancy clothes barbarians or other insulting words. They identified themselves from others using what clothes they wore, and it formed a sense of unity among themselves. They really valued their clothes. Once, a student of Confucius was attacked by several insurgents. During the fight, his hat fell onto the ground. However, he thought his hat had a great importance. Therefore, he picked up the hat and thus was stabbed by his enemy. Also, in the Zhou Dynasty, a system similar to feudalism developed because a centralized government couldn't control such large territories. The emperor sent out trusted generals, family members, and other nobles to establish smaller states which will be loyal to the king. Therefore, a stricter caste system that consists of 4 castes were developed. In the Book of Rights, there were detailed rules restricting what people could wear, what music they could play, and even what food they could eat. According to the author, if people had followed all of the rules, the society could have been stable
And happily ever after? Nope, impossible.
Rules made in the beginning of Western Zhou has been challenged several times, so it wasn't as binding as before. The nobles refused to continue supporting the emperor, and they started wearing clothes that originally belonged to the emperor. They declared themselves as emperors, and therefore
The warring state period started.
each emperor needed to fight over territories and resources. Therefore, a new type of clothes was created. The complicated clothes of the Zhou people weren't suitable for them to fight on horseback and farm. During this period, acculturation also happened. The Han Chinese started to interact with people who used to be considered as barbarians by the Zhou people. So, their clothes changed from a one-piece dress to a two-pieces outfit. The evolution of clothes, to a certain extent, reflects the structure of the society and its history.
I guess that's all for today. Thank you for watching and hope you learn more about the Chinese traditional clothes.